Hello everyone, and welcome to 2.1 lab number 1, where we're going to practice the 4 basic steps to making an orthographic sketch by basically turning this object into this. Let's show you how it's done. So there are 4 basic steps to making a sketch. The first step you have is that you have to determine the views necessary to portray the object and then block out the views using construction lines. Visually, that's going to look something like this. After you block out the views, then you're going to complete the object details using extension lines, and that is going to align pretty well with what we have over here. So this covers out the blocking, and then we're going to use extension lines over here to highlight the parts that we need to trim out and how they align with the other views. So then what ends up happening is that once we have our extension lines taken care of, we know what parts we need to trim out. And that brings us to this part over here. We're going to erase the light construction lines and reveal the true scaled shape, which is essentially this. Once we have our shape ready to go, then we add all the dimensions. And that's essentially how it works. So again, based on the description given, if we were to put this in order, I would say you go 3, then 1. Again, you're going to block it. You're going to use the extension lines to get all the details out. You're going to trim the extension lines, and then you're going to add dimensions. So if that was as clear as mud to you, let me give you a real-life example of how this is going to work. We're going to take this object and turn it into this. So you're going to notice that this object is going to require 3 different views. We're going to need a front view to cover this face right here as you're looking at it from the front. You'll need a right view to cover it coming from this direction, and you'll also need a view from the top to see what this looks like. Let's bring this to real life for a second, and I'm going to show you the actual object. So right over here, we have this awesome object. And again, we have 3 different views that we're going to draw on this. We're going to start with our front view. There we go. We're going to start with our front view. And now that I've adjusted my settings real quick, I know that to block out this front view, again, we're not going to actually get these edges out yet, but to just come up with a big square, just like we did over here, that covers this entire area, we need to create a square that's 3.5 inches by 1 5/8. Okay, so let's get started on drawing these views. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with our front view. Again, if I take a look at this from the front perspective, what I'm going to see is that I got 3.5 inches here, and then I have over here 1 1/4 plus 3/8 is going to be 1 5/8. So I have a 3.5 inch by 1 5/8 block that I need to draw out to block out this particular side. So I'm going to do that over here. Each of these major grid lines counts as 1 inch, and each of the minor ones count as 1/4 inch. So I need to do 3.5, so that's 2, 3.5. And then I need to do 1 5/8. So that's going to be about right here. Slap it across over here, and get back down over here. Okay, awesome. So now that you've seen how I do that, I'm going to continue to do that for the other shapes. So now you can see that I've blocked out my 3 views. This is going to be my front, this is going to be my top, and this is going to be my right. To show you how I did that, with the front, like I explained earlier, I know that I have something that's 2.5 inches wide by 1 5/8 inch tall. So I'm going to make a block that encapsulates that view. And I've done that over here. Again, 3.5 inches wide and 1 5/8 inches tall right here. So then if I go to my top view, what I'm going to see is that I have something that's 1 3/4. Sorry, not 1 3/4. That's 1 3/4 plus 1/2. So that's 2 1/4 inches deep, and again the same 3.5 inches wide. So I carried that 3.5 inch width up here, and then just made a 2 1/4 inch depth over here. So that gave me that block, and then if I go over here to my right side, what you're going to see here is that I have something that's let's take a look over here. Okay, so that's 1/2 inch thick, that's 3/4 inch thick, and that's 3/8 inch thick. So that's going to give me that 1 5/8 again, which parallels pretty well with this. And then in depth, I'm looking at 1/2 inch plus 1 3/4 for that whole width. So that's going to give me 2 1/4 for width right here. So great, I've blocked them out. Now, next thing I need to do is set up the construction lines. Okay, now that we blocked out our view over here, what we need to do now is use construction lines to give out the more specific details, where the lines go and everything of that nature. So I've already pre-done this for you over here. Again, you can see that this is the front view. No, excuse me, this is the front view. That these match out pretty well. Except I forgot to add this part right here. It's okay, it happens. Now everything's looking good there. This right here is going to be our top view, and again, if I take a look over here at our top view, you'll see where our lines line up, and I've constructed the lines accordingly. Okay, and then finally we have our right view over here, and you can see that in my right construction I've done the same exact thing. So our final step will be to trim everything out and get the shapes that we're looking for, and then to add dimensions. Okay, now that we've deleted our construction lines, we're left with our basic orthographic shapes. So there you have it. Once you're finished with that, all you got to do is add the dimension lines, very similar to what you see over here. Clancy over and out.